everybody, welcome to the University of Guelph Arboretum. My name is Kitty, and behind the camera there, that's Jenny. Hello! And we are the Naturalist Interns here at the Arboretum. So today we thought we'd bring you with us on an exploration of the Arboretum grounds, but more specifically, we want to talk a little bit more about our manicured gardens here. And today we are taking a really great look at the Italian garden. So, of course, it is a beautiful garden. It's designed to be a place where you could come and sit down and contemplate and relax. And it is structured all around balance. So this garden shows a lot of balance in its use of geometric shapes and symmetry and different forms. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these different features today. But you can notice that all around the garden we are surrounded by a hedge. So of course it's a beautiful hedge, so let's go on and take a closer look. So this hedge, which goes all the way around our Italian garden, is actually American beech. So you could tell this tree species by the leaves. Of course, you could take a good close look at the leaves. And even in the winter, they're going to hang on to the dead leaves here as well. But another really good way to tell if a tree is an American beech is to look at its tree buds. So take a look at the tree buds here. Pretty pointy. Yeah, so super pointy, super thin and long. That's exactly what American beech tree buds look like. So just by taking a look at these pointy tree buds, you can tell this is American beech. And if you are interested in learning more about identifying different things like tree species, then definitely keep an eye on our website, because we do host a number of programs and workshops here at the Arboretum that teach you all sorts of things, including several ones on tree identification. So keep your eye on those, and maybe you can participate and learn all about cool things like how to identify American beech and other tree species by their tree buds, which I think is pretty awesome. So of course, this hedge surrounds the entire garden, but along with that, we also have in our garden a very strong north to south central axis. So let's take a closer look at this at the center of the garden. So there is an entrance at the end of this axis, and at each entrance, it is meant to be framed by really beautiful vistas. So for example, if you turn around and take a look at the south entrance there, see how the hedge beautifully frames this purple river beach? Such a wonderful sight, so awesome. And at the east to west axis, we have something else. Let's go on and take a closer look. So at each end, we have these iron hornbeams. So that's this plant here, still growing out and looks beautiful. But these are currently being grown with a technique called pleaching. So this is a technique of growing trees into geometric shapes. So these guys are currently tied to these wooden structures and metal structures, and it will eventually grow up. And there are plans in the future for this to be pruned and joined into one archway, which I think will be pretty spectacular. So these are our iron hornbeams. And of course, another really important part of a traditional Italian garden is all of the symmetry. So you'll notice that our whole garden is really symmetrical with all of its flower beds, all of its statues, all of its benches, all sorts of features. It's very symmetrical. So that's really awesome, but I'll let you guys in on a secret. We actually have a little bit of a false symmetry here in our Italian garden because of our beautiful flower beds. Come on, take a look. So in our flower beds, we have in and lavender planted. And these are actually different cultivars in the flower beds as well. So that means that the flowers will actually bloom at slightly different times, which means that it gives us overall a longer blooming period for us to enjoy the flowers. And of course, if you look closely, we have lots of honeybees enjoying the flowers right now as well. So lots and lots of pollinators and bees come to visit the flowers, and they're really happy to have the flowers blooming all season long, from the summer all the way even into the fall, because of the different cultivars with the different blooming periods we use here. And Kale actually, our horticulture technician, which takes care of the Italian garden and makes it so beautiful, he'll actually even employ a pruning technique called deadheading, where after the first bloom purity is actually going to come, he's going to cut down all of the dead flowers, and that causes new blooms to come up and extend the blooming period even further. So that's really awesome. We get to enjoy lots of beautiful flowers all season long. And of course, there's lots and lots of these little guys around. Take a look at their furry body. So these guys have really furry bodies that they're going to use to collect pollen and bring it back in the hive for food. And if you look really closely, this little guy is using his tongue to stick inside the flowers and lap up some nectar. Pretty awesome. Now, of course, those are just some of the beautiful features that we have here in the Italian garden. I'm going to pass it over to Jenny to show you a couple more. Yeah, so Kitty mentioned that symmetry is such a big part of the style of an Italian garden. And there are some more features here that add to that symmetry, and that's our statues. So why don't we have a closer look at them and see what they're all about. So here's one of our lovely statues. And the great thing about these statues is it adds another quality to these gardens, which is like the Italian Renaissance. And we have 4 of these statues all around the garden. And again, they add to symmetry. But the cool thing is they also represent one of each season. So right here, we have this statue carrying flowers, and we have birds on a nest. What do you think this might represent? Which season?
Baby birds and flowers. I'm thinking maybe spring.
Yeah, so this one represents spring. And as we go around a circle, then we'll kind of see all the different seasons of the year. So why don't we visit the different seasons? Next on our list, we have this one, super lovely. This one is summer. So we've got spring, we've got summer. Why don't we head down to fall maybe? Next up, we have fall, and with fall, you see that she's carrying all these grapes. You know, the season for harvesting them is in the autumn, so she's representing fall. And of course, last but not least, we have winter to visit. So this last statue represents winter. You see that she has this flame going, she's warming herself with it, so that's winter. And that's the last statue or last season, but not the last feature in this garden. See, one of the big parts of this garden is not only do we have a lot of symmetry, but we also have a big focus on a focal point in this garden. And as you look around this garden, if you visit, you'll notice everything, the benches, all the statues, the flower beds, they're all orientated towards this focal point, and that's our fountain. So why don't we actually come this way and we'll visit our fountain. Our videos kind of come a full circle. We started kind of in front of fountain here we're ending right in front of the fountain as well. You'll see everything's oriented towards this big, lovely centerpiece of the garden. And the nice bubbling, gurgling of the fountain also provides a really big backdrop, really nice backdrop for the relaxation that this garden is supposed to allow for. So that's really lovely. And I'll let you guys in on another secret. If you guys come a little closer, when you visit the Italian gardens, sometimes what I like to do is I like to peek inside our fountain for a surprise. Because sometimes, not always, but sometimes you see frogs in there enjoying the fountain as much as their human counterparts. And there's no frogs in there today that I can see, but don't let that stop you from peeking in for a little maybe frog surprise next time you're visiting our lovely Italian garden to enjoy the flower beds, the hedges, the statues, our cool bleaching techniques, and of course just the relaxing atmosphere it provides. That kind of wraps things up for today's video on the Italian gardens. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week.